Something truly significant for you has ended. It may have been closing for a while and final pieces are coming into place. Whenever we have an ending to this level, to this degree, what comes with it is an incredible amount of space. If you can be present with this space, even in the discomfort and even in the unknowing, as everything else seems to shift and change and collapse around you, then what you will have is you will have a clearing field for what is actually ready to emerge in your life, to grow, to show itself unencumbered, unrestricted, and with full clarity. And so, over the next few minutes, I'm going to share with you some direct transmissions, some direct perspectives that I know will be of deep, deep assistance at this juncture. Because even though we may feel a variety of feelings at an ending, you are also at one of the most potent places for a completely new start of a pattern, of a way of being that you are choosing to no longer perpetuate. And so, in that spirit, let's walk through a few key points together as you connect with a deeper remembering of yourself at this moment. So I'm Danielle Lynn, and I connect with the leaders, the teachers, those who are here to truly walk as themselves in this life. Not because you're trying to save anyone, but because you understand at a deeply coherent level not only how empowering it is for you to live as your true self, but exactly how transformative it is in the world when you operate that way. Very cool. So the first thing that I'll bring forward is simply an awareness of you in the moment. Once again, when you go through such a big completion as you have, especially with what it feels like a series of completions that happened even before this, it can bring you to one of a few places. Sometimes it's one of deep peace, a deep acceptance, because you're starting to see that these kinds of endings will happen when it's time to happen. And so you may recognize that there's not actually any point in thrashing around when it happens. And so instead, you have the opportunity to poise yourself, to really lean in to what the moment brings. Like, all right, now what? The big reason I am bringing this up and highlighting this for you at this time is because your ability to notice patterns in a completely expanded way is coming online. Your ability to notice them not just from a place of personal joy or personal fear or personal experience is coming online. And what happens is when we begin to actually understand the greater patterns within us and in the world around us without being attached to what we wish those patterns said or looked like, then we become extraordinarily adept at actually understanding the energy around us and within us. And what that can mean is that can give you not only a better understanding of yourself in the moment, but it can help you understand the unfolding probabilities and the unfolding nature of life. Everything's always happening in this moment. And in any given moment, if you're adept at observing patterns, you are able to notice where something starts, and based on the patterns you're observing, the likelihood of how it can unfold. And you're noticing this not from an opinion or judgment level. You're noticing this, once again, from maybe even a geometry or mathematical kind of level. It's like seeing, once again, the drops in the water and noticing that the drops that are further out get this big, And so you can notice when a drop falls in at a certain moment, you could calculate, well, then roughly about 7 seconds from now, it'll be this big. And someone would say, oh my gosh, you're a wizard. You can predict this stuff. But what you would really be saying is, well, I can just see what's happening. Now, where that unknown comes in is maybe a frog jumps in the water and ripples the puddles and disrupts the pattern. These things are possible. But the goal here isn't so much that you're able to tell the possible future with these patterns. The big goal here, if there was a goal, we could even just say the big awareness here is being aware of these patterns within yourself allows you to differentiate from choices and ways of being that align with you living more as your true self and in coherence, and ones that do not align with that. It's a way of being that takes you beyond opinion, beyond arguing, beyond needing to prove things as being right or wrong. It is simply rooted in an inner vibrational understanding of what is true for you and then how you will apply that to the navigation in the world around you. And although it may sound like you're taking a lot of steps to do this, I find that where you are likely pointing yourself to is a way of doing this that is as natural as breathing. It's as natural as looking and perceiving through your eyes. It's a normal way of being that goes hand in hand with you choosing to embody, be in your body, and access your body's intelligence and wisdom. And this is very significant because I get the sense that many of us who would be drawn to this message have had a history of a lot of mentalism, a lot of using this power to notice patterns in a very mental kind of way, and likely in a way that could have been even bordering on obsessive at times, attempting to find the patterns, meanings, and understandings in things. And I could even imagine there may have been points of burnout along the journey. But I'm also imagining that part of the reason this message is coming up is it's inviting you to consider, what if I don't need to set down this ability, just reframe the way that I was utilizing it and approaching it? What if instead of using my mentalism to try and control life with patterns, what if this was yet another way for me to see, feel, and sense in this world and move in a way that not only was more harmonious for me, but for everyone involved? Not, once again, from trying to control things, but being an active and responsive participant in the field of life. Your inner hermit is calling, the inner wise person is calling. Not that you must seclude yourself from others, but that connection point within you that originates within you, that you have trust with, that you can develop trust with. It's you. It's emerging right now. And this may be an opportunity to evaluate old gifts that you may have discounted or set down and see them in a new light. Consider that if I didn't overclock myself with this, if I allowed myself to embody this in a new way, what could that look like? Instead of approaching spirituality as a way to fix myself, if I am approaching this simply as a way of integrating my beingness into my life, what could that look like? I feel like you are being invited to really fully step in to what you've been cultivating, even when there's that deep unknown, and to allow yourself to receive the confirmation that, yeah, you've been doing really awesome. And signs that things have challenges around them or in your life isn't a sign you're doing something wrong. It may very well be that you've cleared so much that the challenges are getting more precise. Sometimes it is this way. And I would just invite you to remember that this life journey doesn't necessarily have to be about overcoming challenges. This is your canvas. And this new moment is your moment to consider what pattern you are choosing to dance. I invite you to really give yourself some contemplative time. Go within. You'll find the answers there. You already have them there. So I'm going to go ahead and describe a feeling, a sense of being that I experience both in the space of what you and I are talking about here, but also likely in our greater collective field. Because there's this combination of like a coagulation going on. There is this dense kind of energy. It makes a lot of sense why there would be a dense energy. Individually and collectively right now, we are going through such an enormous purging and revealing of patterns process. It's not that this energy wasn't there before, but it may have been concealed or not looked at, like it may have been avoided before. But this is one of those scenarios that if something was consistently stuck in a closet, well, the closet door's hinges have come off completely and everything spilled out into the hallway. And rather than attempting to stuff it back in and patch it back up, there is I want to say like a purging process, a digesting process going on. It's like everybody's like, all right, let's sort the junk closet. You'll experience release of not only situations or people or experiences, but you'll also experience a release of belief structures, things that you enjoyed, tools, ways that you have been for a long, long time. But this is your opportunity to move beyond attempting to create another external pattern through thinking you have to fix something. And instead, this is an opportunity and an invitation for you to create from a fulcrum within yourself, meaning a point within yourself that originates with a core frequency that matters to you. To say this another way, instead of starting up the same old cycle and getting the same old results, you have the opportunity to take a leap in the direction and the spirit of your true dreams and visions. And it doesn't have to be this big, audacious, hairy vision. It could be. All you crazy people with hairy visions out there, I love it. What I'm pointing to is this is more about how you take your consistent steps from here. Living a version of reality that you enjoy can be expressed through the physical, but the origination point comes from within. It's one of the reasons you'll hear me talk so much about your subconscious awareness, about listening to your higher self, about having that relationship within, because that is the part of you that makes it appear easy or hard to do anything. When it feels like it's too hard or too scary to do something, objectively, that is just a perspective. I would point to, for example, as an example, there are certain free climbers in this world. A free climber is someone who's climbing without certain equipment. I believe they don't drill into the wall. And so there's a documentary about this. One of the famous free climbers, he shared that he doesn't actually feel fear, which is really fascinating. And as a result, objectively, he is just able to scale the wall. To many of us, observing that would be something frightening, something we would not prefer to do. When that mechanism isn't present, suddenly you simply have someone making a choice to climb. And so, in a very similar way in our lives, it's not so much that we must disable a mechanism, but through having a deeper understanding, through having conversations, through having connection within ourselves, we can actually expand within our capacity and our beliefs about what we can experience outside of us. One of the things that I commonly talk about is normalizing your dreams, normalizing your vision, because when it's normalized, it becomes easeful to connect with it. When it's normal for you to find love, to find friends, then it becomes something that you subconsciously anticipate or believe will happen for you, because normalization, ease, means no resistance. Funny enough, when we are excited about something, we sometimes create resistance, or rather, the excitement is pointing to resistance, because the excitement is anticipation in relationship to a perception of what you normally can or cannot experience. We usually get excited about things that are rare and things that have anticipation behind them, almost like a pressure to be relieved. I find that it is one way to boost up your energy, put yourself in a state, align with the frequency, normalize it, and then you experience it. What happens at that point with the normalization is you're actually coordinating with your subconscious awareness and your expanded, your higher self conscious awareness, which assists in coordinating with you. And you don't necessarily need to have a deep, deep understanding of all the mechanisms of subconscious reality. It can be as simple as remembering that the way that you consistently relate to yourself is the system you're running on. And if you notice yourself beating yourself up, when you notice yourself repeating a story, and a story is anything, a story is anything that is rooted in opinion. Okay, you could be like, oh, it's so easy to do this, it's so hard to do this, it goes this way, it goes that way. Anything that is rooted in a perspective is a story. And even when you have personally a lot of proof, let's say, to back up your story, it's still a story because it's still proof based on your experience. And even if we have something, let's say, more objective, more mathematical, then when we relate to it, we're not relating to it from an emotional or personal place. We're relating to it from that pattern, that mathematical place. And that shifts it from a story to an equation. And I really appreciate that we got to explore this together. If you feel inspired to connect further, to embody this heart-mind coherence work with more depth, you could check the description links for the flow book, the Self-Alchemy Lab, which is a living container of experimentation and synchronicity. I invite you to check your heart to see if it's time for you to join. And also check my description links for the other experiences and opportunities. You always connect with them in precise timing. And so, my friend, I really appreciate our time together. I'm looking forward to our next conversation, and I know that you got this. Talk soon.